Okay, we have Joyce and is it Eliza? Welcome to Pints with Aquinas. Who are you, how are you, and where are you from?
Hello. My name is Joyce, aka Joyceful Mysteries. That's because I have a page, follow it, Facebook and Instagram, where I sing poetry and all that. Where I'm from, Livotown 2170. I'm a marketing coordinator at a plumbing company. Nice dealing with poo. And also I am a youth leader with the Samaskin Movement, Australia. But first and foremost, I'm a daughter of God and hope to bring glory to God with everything I do. So, that's me.
Thank you, Joyce.
How do I follow that one up? Yes, it's Eliza. Yeah. I'm Eliza. I am 22. I work in USH, Sydney Catholic Early Childhood Services. What do I do for work? OzTag and Toasties. Nice. I love it. I reign from Liverpool as well, and I'm from the Samaskin community. Shout out to the Samaskins. And I also am a student, and I am from ACU Strathfield Campus Ministry. So
That's
good.
what I was hoping for when I said RCIA. Very good. Well, thank you for being here. And what did you want to talk about?
Yes. So my topic is on mental health. It means a lot to me to bring this topic up. It's not talked about much, and I'd like to, I guess, get your opinion, advice on how us young adults, youth, can accept mental health, how we can deal with it in a Catholic understanding, Catholic perspective, and also, like most of us here are working at uni, how we can, I guess, open it up in our workplace in a safe environment and eliminate the stigma around mental health. I'm very passionate about advocating for mental health after, what I've gone through, and so now I'm happy to talk about it, I guess, now.
Yeah, thank you. And did you want to follow up?
Oh, yes. The topic that I want to be talking about is, you guys have been talking about it a lot. It's spiritual warfare. We need it to be talked about. And on the terms of we understand, or some people in the room do, but we need to make it known to the young adults here about the father of lies, father of half-truths, and why he delights in our wounds. And you guys were talking about it yesterday. And how, I've been reading a book, Unbound, by Neil Lozano, and he says something on the terms of lions. You were talking about lions. And he goes something on the terms of lions love to prey on the wounded. And it's such a thing to understand in the world that we live in today, in 2023 especially, on why he's attacking young adults and our woundedness. And sorry, this is a lot of questions. And also why, and on spiritual warfare, what is it? What do we put on for spiritual armor? And why is it important to pray the rosary and pray for the intercession of Mary, our mother?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you give me another word for mental health? Because that's an umbrella term.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it's Australian. I mean, we say it in America, maybe it's more of an Australian term. What do you mean?
Mental
Are you
health?
talking about specific kind of issues that people might have? Or when you say mental health, what are you referring to?
Like anxiety,
Oh, I see.
stress,
Okay.
all the different disorders that the doctors give you. I'm part of an order of disorder.
You what, sorry?
I'm part of the order of disorder.
Okay.
Order of disorder.
It's also called the Perpetual Discernment Group as well. OPD. Anyone in that? Yeah? Yeah. But no, bringing it back to mental health, so basically, so, anxiety arises a lot, especially, amongst uni students. When I was a uni student,
I'm not being a medical health professional, I couldn't speak to the particulars, but one thing I harp on a lot on Pints with Aquinas, and I'm convinced I'm right about, is that the phone is both the cause and the reliever of our anxiety. It seems to relieve it. you think about this, you go to a coffee shop and you get in line and you don't really know what to do with your hands and you feel sort of awkward because someone's looking at you, and rather than make conversation or just stand there thinking, you pull out your phone, and it kind of relieves that sort of anxiety. But it's also the cause of the anxiety, because when I was a child, you could get in touch with me by calling my house, by sending me a letter, or by coming to find me physically. That was it. And now you've got all sorts of people coming to find you, as it were, in a million different ways. And I don't think we've been made for that, nor do I think we have nearly the amount of self-control we tell ourselves that we have about our phones. So I think we really have to put our phones in their place. I think for some of us, hopefully more than some, that might mean just setting it on fire and then apologizing to your parents if they bought it for you.
Chucked it in the bin once.
It might mean what I do is I have an office in Steubenville, and very often, my wife hates it, I leave my phone at the studio and then I go home for the night. I say I hate it because it makes her life more difficult. But that doesn't, I always say, that doesn't matter. I feel good.
That's what marriage is about.
That's what I try to tell her. She doesn't get it because she'll try to call me. And for me, when I can just separate the loud, the binging right there, right? They're like away from me, and then I can actually read a book, and time slows down, and life becomes a lot easier for me. I don't think, because it kind of like the phone, I think, keeps us in this perpetual fight or flight response, right? Where you're engaging with text messages and emails and bings and phone calls. And then when you've got no one contacting you, you're still refreshing your YouTube page for some unknown reason to avoid yourself, I think. And so for me, in regards to what you just said about anxiety and stress, putting the phone away from myself in a very rigorous way has helped me personally. What do you
And I want to confirm that. I read a psychologist recently, and he said the average level of anxiety in today's teenager is the same level of anxiety for teenagers in the 1950s who were admitted to mental hospitals for anxiety disorders. That's the average. And that's all from the phone. 99% of that is from cell phones. And yeah, granted, there's anxiety that's happens with family dynamics and things like that. But to lead it into the spiritual warfare aspect while we have time, I think the most important line of defense for spiritual warfare is to live in the state of grace. That's the most important, simple thing, the basics of just remaining in the state of grace, using the sacraments, and having the prayer life. Instead of having this morbid fear that the devil's always going to find a way in, just don't give him more attention than he needs. You know, the Padre Pio, they say it's like a dog on a chain. As long as you don't go within the reach, he's not going to bite you. And so just to keep that in mind. And then tying it into the mental health issue, a couple things in terms of the mental health. One is to try to keep in mind that if you experience mental health issues, don't take upon yourself the burden that it's maybe because I'm not praying hard enough. And maybe I'm not holy enough, because if I got really, really, really holy, then this thing would go away. But it's not going away. And I'm praying, and I'm still struggling with PTSD. Or I'm praying, I'm still struggling with anxiety. Or I still have this, or I still have that. And you need to let go of this idea that if you just got holy enough, the whole thing would just vanish. Because sometimes God, in the providence of his mercy and love, allows us to have limps of different natures, whether it could be spiritual, emotional, physical, or whatever, that binds us to him in our weakness. And it's hard because it's like, no, I want to be free. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to fly. I want to be able to do this without this hindrance. But God in his mercy is allowing us to struggle in this because he knows that it's teaching us the dependency that we need to have on him. And so what we need to do for our part in terms of the mental health, make sure you're finding a good counselor who knows Catholic anthropology, because a bad doctor can actually do more harm than good by infecting the wound. And so you want to be able to find a good Catholic counselor and talk to them and pour this out. And don't think that I just need to get to my vocation, you know, and then this stuff is just going to be left in the past. Because this stuff is not going to get, marriage is not a car wash. And a lot of people think that it is. Or I'm just going to get into religious life, and then I'm just going to leave it in the past. No, because a lot of these things are often triggered by stress. And your vocation is bound to have plenty of that, especially as I know the married life. And it'll bring these things up to the surface like oil and water. And it's going to be more challenging to heal these within your vocation than prior to it. And so dedicate yourself to your healing process. Even though it's a grind, even though it's frustrating, find a good counselor. Pour your whole heart into this. A friend of mine says, your mind is like a bad neighborhood. Don't go in there alone. In other words, bring company. Get a good counselor. Dedicate yourself to this. And please understand that even sometimes mental health issues, that God can even be using that as a means to your sanctity, not as a sign of the absence of it. There's even a patron saint, Saint Dymphna. I think there's even like a podcast that they have on Catholic mental health issues named after Saint Dymphna. And so, yeah, don't take on the spiritual burden of guilt, thinking if I just got holier and more prayerful, the thing would go away. You know, in God's timing and in His perfect timing. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm sorry we don't have more time, but we have to wrap up. But God bless you and thank you so
Yeah,
much for
thank
being
you, thank you,
here.
thank you.
Thank you.